David Spada is a successful attorney whose dream was to become a sports talk show host. Elliott Harris is a Chicago sports columnist who wanted to expand his media presence. In the next hour, they combine their talents and love of sports and women by interviewing former professional athletes and lovely ladies on sports and torts. But keeping the boys out of trouble isn't always easy, because when David and Elliott are together, they have more fun than should be legal.
Elliott, I guess only our guest knows it's Christmas. She's wearing red and we're not.
Ho, ho, ho? No.
You
no.
got the beard going and mustache.
I got the stomach, too. Without the padding. And Santa brought us somebody all... Our guest has traveled the greatest distance to be in the studio today. Shanon Lersch, former Luvabull, Miss Illinois USA 2008, has come all the way from China just
You're
to
worth
be
it,
here.
Elliott.
Right?
You're worth it, Elliott.
Oh, well, thanks.
She's as beautiful as a China doll.
Much more beautiful than a China doll. And even more than the beauty is the person herself. So, you're back in Chicago, just relaxing, doing nothing, right?
Is there a such thing as vacation? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Not in my life.
No.
You always got to keep busy, and whatever comes my way, I'll try something new. If Chicago sparks my interest, I may stay here indefinitely too.
Okay. Well, tell our audience why you're normally over in Hong Kong and in China and all that good stuff.
Well, for the past 3 seasons, I've actually been living in Hong Kong, working in China, and working on an NBA-sponsored reality show, dance reality show, to say the least. And I was a host, choreographer, dancer, performer, and coach throughout the entire time, and working with all these new dancers, trying to find the best dancers over there in China.
On my site today, ElliottHarris.com, I wrote that you were the Paula Abdul of China, or close to it.
It was about 3 years ago we had a conversation when I first got the gig, and you coined me at the Paula Abdul of China and loved it, took it with me. And I am the nice judge. I really am. There is a woman that's from Korea, and she's a little intense.
North Korea, South Korea?
South Korea,
Okay.
South Korea. We don't want to make them cry every episode, just some episodes. And then we have a comedian that's a Chinese, well-known comedian across the country. So I am the nice Paula Abdul on the show.
Now, do you speak Chinese?
I don't. I'm the only English-speaking person on the show in production throughout the entire thing, but I have a translator that sits with me 24/7.
So do they use subtitles also?
She actually, because it's a live taping, she repeats everything that I say right on the spot.
Because some of those old things when they translate it, people were done talking, and then you have the translator still going.
Yeah, this is true. But no, I trust her, and I'm not making any strange comments. So
they haven't twisted your words. Nothing gets lost in translation.
Not that I know of, but it's probably something I should look into.
And now this show is going into another season.
We have signed for season 4, but we're still trying to finish up season 3. What the premise of the whole entire show is that we choose the best dancers throughout China. We then bring them to the States. They train with me for 3 weeks, and they perform at an NBA basketball game. So that component of the show hasn't finished, so we haven't had our final show yet. And now that the NBA finally is done with their lockout and we can kind of move forward with our show, we're going to be moving forward with setting some dates and making sure that happens.
You'll find out what team, what game.
What team, what game. I think we're looking at Miami, San Antonio. We'll see.
No
we'll
Chicago?
See where I go. I'm pushing for Chicago. I would love them to come to Chicago, but we'll see. It's up to the big head sponsors. So.
They don't want to come to Chicago in January,
Exactly.
February when it's
a little
so
chilly.
lovely.
They're looking for something a little bit more, warm, and the girls can enjoy outside.
Oh, okay.
I love Chicago though during the Christmas season.
You can sit by a fire.
Exactly.
Now, the Miami Heat recently signed a sponsorship deal with Tsingtao.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that's the sponsor of?
Tsingtao is our universal sponsor. They've been putting on the show for 3 seasons now, and they know they did some sponsorships with the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron was
in
Cleveland. And now it looks like he's kind of brought them down to. Well, they've kind of brought the Tsingtao name down to Miami now to follow LeBron.
So you're an expert on Chinese beer?
I have had my fair share. This is true.
After each show or during?
I am under contract
She's not
to
Paula
say.
Abdul.
No, I'm not Paula Abdul
in that regard.
sense. Not in that sense. But I'm obligated to say yes. I love Tsingtao beer. It's fabulous.
How does it compare to American beers?
It's a little bit stronger. They've got their different levels just as much, and they give me the light beer, which is supposed to be the feminine aspect of their beers.
Okay.
I'm not a beer drinker though. I have to admit.
They don't tell you the formula?
Nope, I'm not that much into the whole system.
It's an ancient Chinese secret?
I think I have to be Chinese in order to get that kind of a secret.
Okay. And even when you're over in China, you're still head of the DePaul dance team?
I am. This is my 7th year with DePaul University right now, and I run their spirit program and dance coordination. And it's amazing because that's my alma mater. That's where I started dancing. That's where I have my roots, and I love to see the girls get influenced and push them to do better. So that's a program that's really dear to my heart.
You're probably doing better on the court than the team has the last 7 years.
But
this is true. No, they're going to get back in the swing of things. I have faith. I definitely have faith with my DePaul Blue Demons.
Now, in addition to all this, over in China, you're also on air as a sports anchor or sports reporter?
I am. Sports has always been dear to my heart, and I went out there on some of my off weeks, months here and there in between filming, and got a gig working for Now Sports, which is kind of like their ESPN. It's a cable network in Hong Kong, and they started a brand new, very first time English sports station. So jumped right on board and started broadcasting a lot of their English sports, kind of that would gear towards their English market, which is cricket, rugby, Australian football, and then the NBA, which was my specialty. So I even got the opportunity to cover the All-Star game last year. They sent me down there with a camera crew and did a bunch of interviews for them, and was all over Saturday night and watching the slam dunk contest and being behind the scenes. It was really an amazing experience.
So you're an expert in rugby and cricket now?
I would say I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Rugby is quite an interesting sport, and man, they love it over there in Asia.
Really?
For sure.
What
Absolutely.
about ping pong? No ping pong
They
covered?
love their ping pong. I personally have not covered any ping pong, but they do have that out there.
So with the Chinese market, there's only a few hundred people that would be watching something like this.
Just a few hundred, When we talk
a few hundred million.
When we talk numbers, it's kind of like you have to multiply it by the millions.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's amazing, and it's like you're on the forefront of a major market. People knew China was out there, but now in the global economy and everything, it's much more of a player. It's not just people in fields growing rice or whatever it might be.
It's true.
Or making kids' toys.
That's true. No, and you see it while you're in China. You see the growth and you see the development, and you also see the outside influence. Where we have all these misconceptions of China when you're living in the States, and while you're there, they love Americana. There's so much, and that's why I think the NBA is thriving so much there, because it has that taste of American spirit within an organization, and the NBA really brings that passion that America has to China. So it's doing really well.
Is Yao Ming still the biggest sports star?
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely, and I think he still will be. There's no way about that.
Even though he's retired?
I think he owns now one of the CBA teams in China.
Okay.
So he's still involved in basketball. He's working with his family's company now too. So yeah, China won't let him go for sure.
Is there another Yao Ming coming along that you're aware of?
Not that I know. I mean, we have a couple guys in the NBA that are still from China. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're going to be making it back this season to play because they're under contract over there. So we'll see if they can get back into the NBA swing of things.
Because there's no odds in those contracts, right?
Not in the China ones. I mean, I think China was the one that was, strong fist in it and keeping
you signed
them.
with us.
Absolutely. And they made that very clear when they made those contracts. So other countries were a little bit more laxed. China, not so much.
Okay. So when you're in China, where do you go for a good pizza?
Nowhere.
Right.
Hong Kong's very international, though. So you do get the opportunity to eat really well while you're in Hong Kong. But in China itself, that's the first thing I do when I get off the plane. I call, can I have Illuminati's pizza? Can we have that delivered immediately? Yeah, it's definitely something I miss. That deep dish Chicago-style pizza, it's not around.
A lot of fish, probably not a lot of steaks, or it's expensive.
It is. I mean, they're getting a little bit more. A lot of the Western chains are coming there now, and you have a lot of the steakhouses, even Morton's steakhouses over there, and so I mean, you can get a good meal if you look hard enough.
What was the biggest transition in moving from Chicago to China?
I think the biggest is the language barrier, but once you can kind of get past that or be okay with not speaking English to every person on the street, it's a soul-searching thing, too, because you become very much aware of body language and the way that you conduct yourselves without any kind of language. So that was the hardest transition originally. And then, it was a very smooth transition for me. It kind of worked really well because of Hong Kong being such an international city. I got the taste of always going back there and getting my roots and kind of feeling a little bit normalcy and then heading back to China.
Now, because you are exotic looking, do people over there expect you to know how to speak Chinese?
I do get
they just
quite
start
often,
off a conversation.
But my height, I think, throws it off.
Just a little?
Being 5'10", it's not really a normalcy over there. So they definitely know I'm mixed if I am at all Chinese. But no, I don't get too much.
Do they still tie the feet there, or they stop that practice?
I would hope they'd stop that practice. You never know. In the small rural areas, could still happen.
So now when you're back in the States, do you go to a Chinese restaurant at all?
It's hard to. It really is, because I have found this newfound love of real Chinese food. So you order Chinese takeout here and you're like, wow, America doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to Chinese food. It's different.
Or
it's much
fried
different.
Rice or
it's a little different. It's
or
a little
what-
different.
what-
You don't get rice with every meal. That was the kicker. I'm like, I expected that, but
Yeah.
I don't.
I thought
Well-
that's all they eat.
No, not at all. Not
What
at
we
all.
call Chinese food and what the Chinese call Chinese food, not one and the
Not
same?
so much. Not so much. Same thing goes with them. They have McDonald's there. It's a little different than our McDonald's. You
Okay.
can get corn on the cob and you can get mashed potatoes at McDonald's. So it's a little different.
No Big Macs?
Well, they have those too, but there's the variety that's a little different.
Is it made with meat there, or is it soybean burgers?
I think it's meat. Well, it's their version of meat.
Their version of meat. Okay. So, what is in the future for you?
What is in the future? I don't know. I'm still waiting to hear about the dates. That's the biggest thing right now, is to find out when we're going to finally film this last episode, and that'll take up about a month of my future, depending on what city they choose. And then after that, it's talks of season 4, if that's going to happen, when it's going to happen, if they're going to try it in different markets, because there's always been talk of expanding into the Southeast Asian markets. Basketball is not just big in China over there. It's huge in Indonesia. It's huge in the Philippines. So maybe branching out to that. Or if some opportunity comes my way in Chicago, maybe I'll stay here.
How did you do when you were Miss Illinois in the Miss, USA or Miss Universe?
I had a great experience. I'll leave it at that. No, I unfortunately didn't make it any further than getting to Miss USA. But being Miss Illinois that whole entire year was an amazing experience. And the people I met and the doors and opportunities that it opened up for me were unmatched.
What was your favorite part of being Miss Illinois?
I think going to all the charity events and meeting people, it really does open doors when it comes to getting the opportunities to go to events and be in the spotlight and talk to different people and talk about their causes and what they're doing, and hopefully trying to get involved in those different causes and lending the hand as much as you can.
Now, you were on the cover of the 2009 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Is there anything comparable over in China to that?
Actually, I have the Chinese version of my Sports Illustrated cover.
Really?
Is there any difference, or is it the same?
It's in Chinese, and but I'm actually a little bit larger and on the opposite side. So I guess they have a different printer or something to that extent. But yeah, it was very cool to see it in a different language.
Drive on the other side of the road, too?
No, China now is the same.
Oh, they are?
China is the same. Hong Kong is different because it was a British colony for a little bit. But
They drive on both sides of the road.
they drive on wherever they want.
So what do you drive over there?
I don't. I absolutely do not, especially in Hong Kong. the transportation in Hong Kong is so easy to get around. You hop on a train, you hop in a cab. And then while I'm in China, I have a personal car that takes me.
Now, I have this
need to
image
go.
of Hong Kong just being totally congested with people and vehicles. Is that
It is, and I love it. It's like downtown Chicago
It's like
times 10.
I was going to say Chicago on steroids.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm a big city girl. I mean, I have grown up in Chicago. I went to school downtown. You know, I'm an urban girl, so that was a complete easy transition for me to live in Hong Kong.
So the L's similar to the transportation in Hong Kong?
Well, I won't go that far. No, the transportation, especially trains and buses in Hong Kong, are really state of the art. It's quite amazing.
Okay. What's the shopping like?
You know, I'm not a big shopper.
Really?
The only thing I did find is I can't find shoes in Asia. It's really hard for me to find shoes.
Are your
because
feet too big?
My feet are a little bit bigger than the average Asian. So they don't make it in my size. But there's some cute shoes over there that I'd love to get at some point.
If only you had smaller feet.
If I only had smaller. Maybe I got to tape mine
Ta-
down
ta-
like you mentioned earlier.
Is it too late to tie up her feet?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm past my prime. Done.
So while you're here, you do modeling?
Mm-hmm.
Anything in particular?
No, I mean, whatever gig comes my way, some photo work. I do runway a lot in Chicago. And my biggest thing right now is, working with DePaul University, and I do all of their in-game hosting. So while I'm back home, they call me Shanon in the stands. And I kind of, I host all of the timeout scenarios. So whether it's a contest, whether it's an announcement, we're giving away things in the stadium, which is so much fun. And being an in-game arena host is a blast.
Is the Blue Demon mascot under your control?
Kind of. I know him very well. I can make it, No, he's great. He's great. Dibs. Demon in a blue suit.
Now, DePaul, if they had an on-campus
Don't get me started on this, Elliott. Yes, if they had an on-campus for the men, it would be fabulous. I mean, our women, they play on campus, and it's awesome. McGrath Arena is so cool, and we fill it, and our women are wonderful. They really are good. We're ranked almost every season. So, yeah, if we had a men's stadium, Old Alumni Hall was awesome. Awesome. But, their biggest complaint is where do you park? And it is hard to build a stadium.
Park?
In the middle of Lincoln Park, it's a very hard situation.
Well, they should have valet parking, right?
Hey, there you go.
You got all the bars around there.
It's true.
People find a way to park over there for that.
It's true. It's very true.
So, who's your favorite DePaul player of all time?
Ooh. Micah is good. We have a heart. Bobby Simmons played in the years I was there, and Quentin Richardson played in the years I was there, which was great to see them.
You're too young for Mark Aguirre and all those.
Maguire was great. Yeah, Corzine, he's great. I mean, we've had some good players come through.
Hopefully you got some good ones coming again.
I hope so.
Pat Kennedy got some great players in there in the late 80s.
He did, and that was the problem, though, when you get an urban school like DePaul is, they come in for a year and then they leave. So it was hard for him to keep them.
He's got to do the Kentucky model every year. Keep rotating those freshmen.
Great. That would be great. We got to start winning, and then we'll get those good freshmen coming in.
Now, on the dance show in China, how many girls try out for that?
Oh, hundreds. So it's set up very much like American Idol is here. So we travel to all the different cities all over China. So I have literally seen all of China.
You go to small villages as well?
Really tiny, tiny little cities. And we have hundreds come out for the auditions. We pick, several from each small town, and then we slowly narrow it down to the top 20. And then those top 20 perform, and every episode, a few are eliminated.
Okay. Now, some of us have this image of Chinese women being subservient and, all this other stuff. Are they pretty much the same as, say, American females? They're outgoing and all?
They are to an extent, but there still are those old traditional Chinese values. And that's why I love working on the show, is because I've gotten the opportunity to be a part of giving them this opportunity to be an individual, to express themselves, to be a little bit outside of the box, and give them that new sense of self that they can kind of get out there and perform and not hesitate, not be at all afraid of being themselves and being loud and exciting. So it's been really great. And you see the girls, especially the ones that come in that are a little bit more on the reserve side, by the end of the show, they are what we would consider right on an NBA level. They've got the energy, they've got the passion, they've got the confidence, especially in themselves and their dancing. So it's really, really great. They've got the moves. I've taught them the moves. They're awesome.
Elliott, you asked the questions in the right way. You said subservient, and you didn't say and all that good stuff.
So even in a tiny village that might be in the middle of nowhere, there are those girls who say, I want to be on a professional dance team. I mean,
absolutely.
Obviously, telecommunications and all this other stuff shrinks the world. I assume that's where they get it from, looking at some Western TV.
It really is. It really is. And it's surprising because, in China, we don't have Facebook. We don't have YouTube. You can't access those types of things. But they still do know songs and dances and things like that we do have in the States. So the NBA does transcend even the blocking of what the government does.
No YouTube or Facebook.
We do not.
How do you exist?
We have Youku, which is their version of YouTube, and they have their own version of Facebook. But
no cuckoo?
No cuckoo.
I would assume there's great government oversight, if not censorship, involved in all that stuff.
There is, and us being a live broadcast, we have government officials sitting in on all of our production meetings, and they're in the audience when we're filming. So it's very regulated, but at the same time, you can see the liberal side coming out, and that's what's great about the show is it really is giving a new view to women over there, a new view to entertainment, and giving them a little bit of taste of what the NBA really is all about, which is entertaining the fans. You can go to a game and kind of not even watch the basketball game. There's so much entertainment going on for kids and for families, and that's what we're bringing to China is that new development, that there's more to an NBA basketball game than just the basketball players themselves.
The Bulls started that.
Absolutely. That's why. I mean, I come from I think the best of the best. The NBA does it great, but the Bulls do it amazing, and you can literally enjoy every second. You can get there an hour before the game, you can stay an hour after, and there's stuff going on at the United Center. So it's a great experience. So
none of the judges on the shows have had any body parts lopped off by government officials? Nobody's been dragged away and never seen again?
No, we stay pretty straight to the line.
Okay.
Are you ever worried about your safety over there, or if I say the wrong thing they might cane me? Or
No. I'm very well taken care of, and they respect me also because I'm coming from a good place. I'm hired by the NBA, sent there by the NBA, and that's an organization that they really respect in China.
Now, walking down the street, do people recognize you for who you are?
In China, especially when I'm in different cities in the airports, I'll have some people, especially young girls that watch the show, come up and say, "Oh, American cheerleader," and that's what they know me as is the American cheerleader that's over there traveling around finding new cheerleaders to train.
So you walk around with your pom-poms?
Try to stay a little bit more incognito than the pom-poms. But
the high boots and the shorts.
My hot pants and boots the whole time, yeah.
Right, no.
Could you have helped Ron or Tess do better on Dancing with the Stars?
Gosh, that was kind of painful to watch, wasn't it?
I mean, these guys always do well, athletes, and he had to be the worst dancing.
But you know what? He's the first NBA player
right.
because they've never been able to play because that's normally during their preseason and their training camps and all that. And yeah, I wish they would have picked a little bit more.
Is there a Chinese equivalent to Dancing with the Stars?
I'm not sure. They have one that's similar to So You Think You Can Dance.
Okay.
But it's a little different. It always has a Chinese flair to it. Like we even have, because we're sponsored by Tsingtao beer, we have beer drinking contests in the middle of it. We have a little bit more of the strobe lights.
Wait a second. You have a dance contest with beer drinking in the middle of it?
Well, we have to get our fans and those that are in the audience into...
Oh, it's not for the dancers
to
do
not the
the
dancers,
drinking?
not the dancers.
Oh.
No, we bring in some audience members. I'll teach them some dance moves. They'll chug a beer. It's quite funny.
Are those bottles glass bottles, cans? What do they use over there?
A little bit of both. Yeah, they have a bunch.
And they got the
kinds.
taps, too, with Tsingtao beer?
They do. We do, definitely.
Dave's our beer expert, or becoming one very quickly.
Exactly. I didn't know.
Well, Tsingtao is coming over to the States a lot more than it used to be.
Who's their official spokesperson? Is it you or is it?
Sure, I could be their official.
Call
if Tsingtao is listening, I can be your U.S.
I'm sure they are.
representative.
You could be the Tsingtao girl.
Exactly. Well, the girls that do win, after there's 6 girls that are selected at the end of each season, and those girls then go on to be spokespersons for Tsingtao for the NBA over in China. So they'll travel. They do a lot of appearances at different festivals, and they dance. So they are really the core spokesperson.
So you could actually drink the beer on TV, not like the United States.
No, you can definitely drink the beer. Yeah, and you're encouraged to. I don't, but
are there any like equipment mishaps with the girls when they're dancing? Kind of like happens here?
I mean, yeah, you always have the costume malfunction, and it's what can happen, and we're on live, so it's really what could happen in the last spur of the moment. We haven't had some really bad ones, but we've had some slip ups.
Do they like censor that, or that it's fair game there?
Well, it hasn't gone that far,
okay.
So. I would assume they would censor
Otherwise, Dave would tune in every week.
Unless it's Nancy Grace having equipment malfunction.
Oh, no.
Okay. So, in Chicago, you just chill for a few days, and then when do you go back to China?
It won't be until early in the next year, if I do. I'm looking for opportunities here as well. So if you know any, I have a journalism background. So if there's somebody out there that would love to hire me up.
Sun Times just got sold again.
I know. There you go. There you go. So, I'm just kind of up in the air figuring out what my next move is. There is season 4, and that will probably start in March, April. And we'll see where that goes.
Okay. Is there much American beer or German beer that comes over to China, or is it mostly Chinese beer in China?
I would assume it's mostly Chinese beer. I'm not a big beer drinker.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
Okay.
I'm not a big
okay. How about hard liquor?
Well, they've got that for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty international. China has opened its borders quite a bit.
Are you a big Bears fan?
I am a big Bears fan.
Do you remember Otis Wilson back in the day?
I absolutely do. Number 55. There we go.
Mama's boy?
The ladies all love him for his body and his mind. Was that it?
That was his Super Bowl shuffle line. That's great. No, I definitely do. Yeah, I've been a Chicago sports fan since, I was pretty much in the womb.
And Otis is always at those Bulls games back in the day.
He was, definitely.
I don't know if after Michael left, if he wanted to watch that train wreck for a while.
Hey, you got to watch some bad basketball, didn't you?
I was there for some interesting, but they were getting better. They were called the Baby Bulls when I was cheering, so they were getting better.
Now they're the Derrick Rose Bulls.
I know. I'm so excited about Chicago and what they've got now, and the new bargaining agreement allowed them to do that. So it's really great that they have him locked in for a couple more years.
5 years?
I know.
Not bad.
It's great.
10-year with a 5-year out, which will be exercised by somebody.
But I think he loves being in Chicago too. He's a Chicago boy,
right.
And he really, appreciates the legacy and appreciates what the Bulls can do for him. So I think he'll stay around.
Yeah, and I think he likes having family around as
Absolutely.
well. That
Absolutely.
sort of nurturing, I don't want to call it a safety net, but just that comfort zone.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. You can tell. I got to interview him at All-Star on a one-on-one basis, and he's so sweet and down to earth and really humble. And you're looking at him and you want to shake him and say, "Do you know how talented you are? Do you know how amazing
who you are? You're Derrick Rose."
But he's a very cool guy.
Yeah, you wonder if 3 or 4 years from now, he's still that same person.
I feel like that's at his core. I hope it is.
Yeah.
You never know what the spotlight does to people, but you hope that he stays. And I think if he stays around his family, he'll stay humble and he'll stay focused, and they'll keep him grounded in reality.
Thank you so much for your time, Shanon.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being here.
Next time you're in town, hop on by.
Absolutely.
We'll give you another Sports and Torts cap.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll be wearing this.
It doesn't quite match your outfit, but it's close.
I think it does. I like
it.
It's a
little.
it.
You can't have the same color. You need a little blend.
Is that how it? Oh,
yeah.
Dave's our fashion expert too.
Perfect.
Thank you again, Shanon Lersch.
Thank
it was a
you
pleasure
guys
talking
so much.
to you. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have on Mama's boy Otis, one of a kind. Stay tuned.